Hey guys, and welcome back to Studio One with me, Gregor. Today I want to show you the plugin manager in Studio One, an incredibly powerful tool nested inside of the Studio One browser that you can use to show and hide different plugins from different vendors. You can also show and hide any kind of plugin type, disable a plugin type altogether, and also gain some insight into your plugin statistics. Which plugins do you actually need? Which ones do you use? And much more. We're gonna get to that in just a moment. First of all, let's locate the plugin manager inside of Studio One. So I'm here in a brand new Studio One song, and I'm just gonna open up the browser of Studio One by clicking here in the bottom right. And you'll notice as I switch to my instrument and effects tab that I have my plugins visible here. But did you know that it's actually possible to show and hide them as well in any kind of configuration that I like? To do this, you just click on this home button again and then open up the plugin manager. It's this button all the way here at the bottom. And when you click on that, you'll find a list, a comprehensive list of all of the plugins that are currently installed on your system. You're also going to see the vendor, the plugin type. You can have either VST3, VST2, or in the case of Mac, AU plugins installed. They all run perfectly with Studio One. Then you're also going to see whether they have been modified recently, what the plugin version is, which can also be great to just quickly compare if you're still up to date with everything, because that's really how you ensure stability of Studio One. A plugin is less likely to crash if it's up to date. You can sort by vendor as well, and you can also, which is really cool, enable and disable plugin nap here on a per plugin basis. This is really cool because this allows you to use the feature of plugin nap in Studio One. Plugin nap means as long as there's no input signal on the input channel present for a period of time, then the plugin will just be temporarily paused, saving a lot of CPU power in the process. But there are certain plugins that don't react nicely to that might, introduce some kind of clicking and popping. And when that happens, you can just selectively disable plugin nap for that one plugin here without having to turn off the entire feature, which can be very beneficial, particularly on older and slower systems. All right, so with that out of the way, I want to get your attention over here to the filter. Here is where you can search any plugin by name. Very easy, very intuitive. And it also features these really powerful type and vendor checkboxes. So this filter will basically allow you to make a selection of plugins, and then you can either show or hide them by clicking on this little white dot here next to the plugin name. This is going to show and hide them. If this is not illuminated, then it's hidden. If it's illuminated, then it's shown. And you can also use these super handy show all, hide all buttons here in combination with the filter. So for example, if I want to hide every plugin that's not native to Studio One, I can just deselect native here from the filter and then click on hide all. Now I'm hiding all plugins that are not native to Studio One with just 2 clicks. I can also do the opposite, of course, which is not really recommended. I could just select native and then hide everything, and then select everything else and show everything. This is not what I would recommend to do, because you'd miss out on so many great plugins that are native to Studio One. And but if you have like VST2 and VST3 plugins both installed, you could just go ahead and hide all of the VST2 plugins altogether by selecting them in the filter and then hitting hide all. You can do this also more selectively on a vendor basis. And of course, this wouldn't remove the plugins entirely from your system. So if you open up an older song where you may have used some of these plugins that you're now hiding, it will just open up fine, no problem at all. This is just so that your browser overview that you have here is a little bit less cluttered and you're not confronted with such an overwhelming choice of plugins, at least if you're like me and you have like hundreds and hundreds of plugins installed. You can also drag and drop plugins that are not behaving nicely directly to the block list here, by the way. And if you do so, then Studio One will ignore these plugins upon next start, which can be useful if you have certain plugins that are crashing your songs consistently. If you want to learn more about system stability in Studio One, then you might also want to check out my safety options video linked here, where when talking more about plugin safety. And aside from that, there's also the statistics tab, as I mentioned before, where you can see exactly when you use the plugin last, what the average load and save times are. And this can be very useful information. For example, if you find very high average load and save times, and you also notice that this plugin has been last used like 2 years ago, maybe consider removing it entirely from your system if you don't need it. Another thing I really love about the statistics tab is that you can right-click a plugin and show its exact location in the macOS Finder or Windows Explorer. Can be much faster if you have to go there. And it's just, yeah, it's a fantastic tool overall, I find. It's also great if you want to migrate to a new system and you need a list of plugins that you're actually using. Come to the statistics tab here in the plugin manager. You'll find all of the information that you need. So as you probably noticed, there's a bunch of really useful things that you can do with the plugin manager. Go ahead and explore it. Once you've made all your changes inside of the plugin manager, you can just close it and then make sure that you're actually saving the song that you're currently working on. Only then your plugin manager changes will become global across all of your songs. So if you've chosen to hide all of your third-party plugins, for instance, you only want to show native PreSonus Studio One plugins, then just go to the plugin manager, go to the filter as shown, just select everything that's not type native, hide all, and then you can just save the song. And once you do so, all of these browser visibility changes that you made via the plugin manager will become global, meaning that all songs that you open and all new songs that you start going forward, you would only see PreSonus plugins now. This can be handy, for instance, if you have hundreds of plugins installed. In that case, it can be really a lifesaver to just have one option of EQ, one option of compressor to work with, rather than having to obsess over which compressor type or plugin to use now. I've made some great experiences with that, at least, not to mention the time I saved not having to update all these plugins all the time. And yeah, maybe try it out for yourself. Maybe it works. And if it doesn't, then the plugin manager still has many more things to offer, as you've seen. Hopefully you find it useful, and thank you for watching.